Hi, am I live? Can you hear me? Hello? Well, okay, I'll just hope that you can hear me. Hello, and welcome to the third workshop. Oh, okay, that is not good. Can you see me? I mean, I don't know if I'm seen. Am I live? Yes? No? Yes? Yes? Well, let's hope so. Hide from Brock, no? Chat, let's see. Okay. Well, I do hope I'm live. Welcome to the third workshop of the UPRH Creative Writing Workshop. And for this day, we are going to be talking about werewolves in literature. And since, oh, well, my name is Miguel de Jesus. I am a peer mentor alongside Lilibeth, who has been monitoring and doing the workshops for the past 2 weeks. And now I am here and I am going to wear. Oh my God, I entered mid-sentence. Okay. Well, since I entered mid-sentence, I'm going to start all over. My name is Miguel de Jesus. I am going to be talking about werewolves in literature for the UPRH Creative Writing Workshop, since we're doing live streams and video workshops, virtual workshop. And since I'm all festive, I'm just going to put this here. And it's my werewolf cap, you know, for the fun of it. And well, let's begin quickly and let's talk about what we came here for, which is basically werewolves. Where are my papers? Here they are. Okay. Let's start by defining what is a werewolf. As you can see today, I am a werewolf. Yes, I am. And well, a werewolf is, or lycanthrope, it is a mythological or folkloric human with the ability to shapeshift into a wolf or a hybrid wolf-like creature, either purposely or after being cursed or afflicted, which means that they are put under a curse by a warlock or a witch, or they are bitten by another werewolf and thus they gain the curse, basically, that turns them into a lycanthrope or a werewolf. Now, since we have the definition of what is a werewolf, well, let me check something. Okay, since we have the definition of a werewolf, let's go with the origins of the werewolf, but the legend per se. And basically, the legend of the werewolf originated in a countryside around a German town called Cologne and Bedburg in 1591. There is an age-old pamphlet that describes a moment where the werewolf was discovered in this town of Germany. And the werewolf was a villager called Peter Stump, a middle-aged man that lived in the same village. And now I will go to a document that I have here that tells how everything was found. Okay, I'm gonna start reading. Peter Stubb, the werewolf that they found, was put on the torture wheel where he confessed 16 murders, including 2 pregnant women and 13 children. The history behind his downfall was rather strange. He had started to practice sorcery when he was only 12, and he was so obsessed with it that he even had tried to make a pact with the devil. Wearing a magic girdle, he started to attack his enemies, real or imaginary, for revenge. After several months, he took the guise of a wolf and continued his evil with more brutality. In the wolf form, he used to tear up victim throats and suck warm blood, vampire-ish, you know. Gradually, his thirst for blood grew and he roamed around fields in search of prey. So basically, we have here that the werewolf, as we can see, was a villager from Germany in the town called Cologne and Bedburg. And let me continue reading what happened to him. Okay. Young girls who played together or milked the cows in the fields were his frequent victims. He used to chase them like a hound, catch the slowest one, rape and kill her. Then he would drink hot blood and eat tender flesh from her body. Stubb committed the most gruesome crime upon his own son. Yeah, he killed his own son. He took his son to a nearby forest, cracked the poor child's skull open, and then ate the brain because it's not enough just to crack the skull open. You need to eat the brain because you're a werewolf, of course. He was put on the torture wheel as, punishment, and his flesh was pulled off with a red hot pincer. His arms and legs were broken, and finally he was decapitated. His carcass was burned to ashes, and obviously, because everybody does that in those times, they killed the daughter and the mistress just because he did all those things, just for the fun of it. And listen to this. This is how the legend came to be. The words of Stubb, trials, and execution spread across the lands, the European lands, and obviously to our side. His brutality, their ways, and atrocity were beyond human experience. His ferocity was readily related with the behavior of a wolf. People started to believe that such creatures with the shadow of wolves were living among them. They named them, ta-da, werewolves. So now you have an idea of where the werewolf comes in the legends, our legends, um, of today. And now I'm going to talk about the werewolf in literature. Now, the werewolf, oh my god, my dogs don't stop barking. Give me a moment. Give me a moment. I'm just gonna do something quickly. I'm sorry for this. Let me see anything. That is gonna be a funny part for the video. Okay, now I'm gonna talk about the origins of the werewolf in literature, which is our focus, of course. It came from Greek mythology and basically is the story of a king called Lycan. Yes, Lycan. And King Lycan tested Zeus by serving him a dish of his slaughtered and dismembered son to see if Zeus was really all-knowing. And as a punishment, Zeus transforms Lycan into a wolf and kills his 50 sons with lightning bolts. Isn't that fun? Just kill them all with lightning bolts because life, man, life. And I'm gonna read a passage of the very first transformation scene in the werewolf literature by Roman poet Ovid in the 1st century Anno Domini, después de Cristo. And it says, "There he uttered howling noises, and his attempts to speak were all in vain. His clothes changed into bristling hairs, his arms to legs, and he became a wolf. His own savage nature shows in his rabid jaws, and he now directed against the flocks his innate lust for killing. He had a mania, even yet, for shedding blood. But though he was a wolf, he retained some traces of his original shape. The grayness of his hair was the same, his face showed the same violence, his eyes gleamed as before, and he presented the same picture of ferocity." And of course, from Lycan's name, we get the word lycanthropy and lycanthrope, which lycanthropy means being in the state of being a werewolf. So, yeah, we get that the first Roman poet creates this scene about a werewolf, which is interesting, of course. And let's continue with the workshop. I'm so nervous. Okay, let's go to the portrayal of the portrait of a werewolf. I'm gonna talk about the transformation of the characteristics of the werewolf that has been portrayed throughout centuries of stories in werewolf literature. Basically, the human form of a werewolf, and I quote, they had bushy eyebrows that met over the bridge of the nose, blood red fingernails were long and almond shaped, their mouth and eyes were almost dry, and they were often thirsty, like dogs. Ears were long and narrow, laid back on their heads. Their skin was rough, scratched, and hairy. It often had a yellowish, pinkish, or greenish cast. In addition to such physical features, the werewolf also displays certain psychological traits. They commonly preferred the night and solitude, had an inclination towards visiting the graveyards, and were known to dig up corpses and feast upon them. If it wasn't enough, they also eat dead people. Oh my god. Now, it's interesting how the werewolf is, even psychological traits. And now I'm going to talk about the numerous ways in which a werewolf, according to this document that I downloaded about werewolves in literature, they achieve transformation. And let's hear about this. The most common, I quote, the most common ritual was practiced on nights when the moon was full. The legend of the full moon and the werewolves. First, the afflicted man will locate an isolated place and trace a big circle on the soil. And after tracing that circle, on the center of the circle, he made a fire and prepared his magic ointment. And listen to this. The composition of those ointments were different, but generally contained plant ingredients like nightshade, belladonna, and henbane. And I have, in this document, it says a part where it explains the werewolf phenomenon in a scientific manner, in which it says that nightshade and belladonna, the plants that they use as ingredients, were often psychedelics, and they will make the person hallucinate. So basically, this person hallucinated scientifically that he was a werewolf. Pig fat, turpentine, and olive oil were used as solvent for them. Later, when the distillation of spirits was perfected, alcohol, getting drunk online, served the purpose. After rubbing his body with the ointment, he would wear the wolf hide and concentrate on prayer to the devil. At the end of the process, the man turned into a wolf and ran in quest of prey, of course. Because we are hungry, man. We are hungry. Is there? How do I check the chatting? Hi. I'm just saying. Okay. Now, how does this general phenomenon come to be? Let me read quickly because I feel that I'm running out of time for some reason. This is a general explanation of the werewolf phenomenon. Some asserted that it was caused by an excess of melancholy or an imbalance in humors, the liquid or fluid part of the body. Many doctors believe that such melancholy could lead to insanity, hallucination, and delusion. So basically, we have also a work in 1621 by Robert Burton that says that lycanthrope, the werewolf, was a form of madness, and he blamed everything from sorcerers and witches to poor diet, bad hair, sleeplessness, and even a lack of exercise. And obviously, we have that the werewolf is a projection of a demon, of the devil, of course, and that this is all just part of an imagination of the person that felt that he was a werewolf for some reason. It's strange, man, kind of like weird. Now, let's go to the fun part of after that weird introduction about the werewolf. We're gonna talk about the werewolf throughout literature. We already talked about the origins that came from Ovid, the Roman poet, in which he wrote the very first transformation of a werewolf. And now we have two more, Herodotus and Petronius, which basically says that the werewolf goes from being a mortal cursed by a god to a shape-shifting witch or a warlock with evil intentions. Now we see a change of the werewolf here. Petronius in the Satyricon has a part that says that Nicero's story, which basically talks about the a segment of the werewolf in the Satyricon, the Satyricon, which basically is that Nicero's story is going to woo a woman when he meets a soldier on the road, and this soldier, and I quote, "pierced a ring around his clothes and suddenly turned into a wolf. Then I went to collect his clothes, but they turned to a stone." Now we see another wolf in the early literature. Later, a wolf attacks Melissa's stock and is stabbed in the throat. Once home, Niceros sees that the soldier again gravely injured in the throat. Ah, okay. I'm just getting some feedback from my technical support person. Hi from Bar. Oh my god, I was muted. Damn. Okay, let me repeat that. In the Middle Age appears the first sympathetic werewolves, in which there's a tale of two Irish folkmen cursed to be wolves for their ungodliness. After 7 years of penance as wolves, they were to change back into humans and return home. So basically, they were cursed by their ungodliness, and I just man, I wanna oh God, I wanna know if I'm chatting with you. I can see. Let me see if I okay. Let me just nope. Okay, whatever. Okay. Anyway, we have the medieval werewolf. And the medieval werewolves did not kill men or livestock, and they could even speak the name of God to prove their goodness. They are victims of priests, witches, and often their own sins. Man, that's just sad, I know. You know. Oh, here's a chat. Hey, I just saw the chat, and I'm seeing myself. I don't like that. Um, Let me just say that basically I already said that of the medieval wolves that they were good and that the victims were priests, witches, and their own sins. For werewolves. Now we go to the Renaissance. The Renaissance. 1613, John Weber's The Duchess of Malfi presents moral wolves and vampires as figurative creatures rather than the literal ones. So now we have figurative werewolves in literature in the Renaissance. Now for 1864, we have a Gothic novel called Wagner the Werewolf, but werewolf it's like WEHR guion W hyphen WOLF by GWM Reynolds, and this novel just presents the werewolf in a little manner way, but the werewolf in the Renaissance was used as a metaphor for the beastly sins of gluttony, cruelty, and avarice. So you see that you can have an idea about the werewolf, that it was such ah okay, there was such the werewolf represented those sins of gluttony, cruelty, and avarice. Those are good ideas for a short story or a poem about werewolf. Da, da, da. Okay, now we go to the Victorian era, 19th century. This is the single period in which the greatest werewolf classics appear with a supernatural approach. Now we go to the supernatural finally. We have two classics here that I put them in on the below the video. I don't know what to call that. The crotch? I don't know. I'm just saying the crotch, like Shane Dawson. The Mark of the Beast by Rudyard Kipling in 1891. It has a short story about a werewolf, and also The Werewolf by Clemens Hausman in 1896, which is basically, here it is, female werewolf who is a femme fatale and devours her victims. Rar. Female werewolf that devours her men. Yummy. Let me check the chat. Let me check the chat. I see there's not much. Yes, you. And lichens, freak about lichens. Freak out, Freaky Lily. Oh my goodness. I didn't know who's worse, him or the Justice Committee. The dog knows he's one of them. Miguel Nova. One Piece posters. I am talking about literature. Okay. Now let's go to the 20th century, 19 to 1900s onwards. The early works resemble the Victorian, the supernatural approach for the werewolf, and basically they deal with moral evil embraced in traditional ghost story techniques. Ghost stories, yes. We have here the classic of the 20th century that will change the spectrum of the werewolf to our days, and it is called The Werewolf of Paris by Guy Endore, and in 1933. Basically, this novel follows Bertrand Caillet, which is obviously the werewolf, throughout the tumultuous events of the Franco-Prussian War and the Paris Commune of 1870 and 1871. And now I'm going to read a prologue about this story. A prologue of the story of the novel The Werewolf of Paris that changed everything. Here is a piece of the prologue, so you can see how much impact does The Werewolf of Paris have to the werewolf literature. And I quote, "For the legends and literature of lycanthropy, prior to the publication of his novel, contain no observations on society or the human condition, only the inhuman condition of werewolfery itself. It remained for Endore to elevate the penny dreadful approach of a Wagner, the werewolf, and its Victorian counterparts to new heights which combine the frightful with the insightful." So now we have a humanistic vision of how the werewolf feels throughout this historic event that Guy Endore purposely puts this werewolf in a war and the Paris Commune in 1870 to 1871. Isn't that interesting? That this insightful look of how the werewolf feels throughout history and this event. Much like the Victorian era, that they have the penny dreadfuls, which you can Google, which are basically like this newspaper that talk about dark literature and all that. The 1920s throughout the 1950s and the 20th century, which is the modern era, appeared pulp magazines with titles like Weird Tales and Strange Stories that produced works about werewolves and other monsters, but they were not famous nor entertaining. They were just like, meh, here you go. Here you have penny dreadfuls of the 20th century. They suck, basically. But I'm going to talk about a few of the authors that did save the werewolves from extinction. Okay. We have the short stories In the Forest of Villefire in 1925 and Wolfshed in 1926. The first story introduces a man who kills a werewolf in wolf form for the very first time in werewolf literature and assumes the curse. And then the sequel of In the Forest of Villefire, we have Wolfshed, that you see the portrayal of the curse of the werewolf as a ghost that turns the man into a wolf man. That's some good. That's good. Let me read, if I can find, a little excerpt of Wolfshed, the curse that comes like a ghost of the werewolf, and I quote: "The Montor, which is basically the werewolf, the main character of these two stories by Howard, was standing, legs braced, arms thrown back, fists clenched, the muscles bulged beneath his skin. His eyes widened and narrowed. The veins stood out upon his forehead as if in great physical effort. As I looked, to my horror, out of nothing, a shapeless, nameless something took vague form like a shadow. It moved upon the Montor. It was hovering about him. Good God! It was merging, becoming one with the man. Good God! Damn, I know it's funny. And now we go with H. Warner Munn, which does a 2-volume collection of horror short stories that were called The Werewolf Clan, if I'm not mistaken. And they have the very first short story in that werewolf collection, The Werewolf of Punkert in 1925, which represents a different image of the lycanthrope, which is basically not a man who becomes a wolf, but another creature who only shares some of the wolf's features. Now, let me read a part of that. So, because it's interesting that it changes again the vision of the werewolf, and let me check the chat. Okay, you're still talking about the femme fatale. I see what you did there. Okay. Oh, I forgot what I was gonna do. Sorry. I was gonna read the portion of the Werewolf of Punkert. Okay, listen to this. Far from being wolves, as my first thought had been, they were great gray animals the size of a large hound, excepting the leader, who was black and more the size and shape of a true wolf. All, however, had the same general characteristics: a high, intelligent brow, beneath which gleamed little red pig-like eyes, with the glint of a devil in their glance, long and misshapen hind quarters, which lent them to a rabbit lope when they ran, and most terrifying of all, they were almost hairless and possessed not the slightest rudiment of a tail. Disgusting, isn't it? It is disgusting how they change a poor werewolf. Okay, we continue on to H.P. Lovecraft, which we have one story and a poem, the poem I shared. The first story is The Ghost Eater in 1923, which is basically the werewolf has been murdered and returns as a ghost to exact his revenge. So we see that this connection, that the werewolf dies and he becomes a ghost of revenge, to kill, because I'm a ghost. I gotta kill. I can't find love. I'm a ghost. And we have the poem, The Howler, that I shared in the Facebook group on 1929, which is basically a poem about the lycanthrope. Please, fellow writers and readers and YouTubers, Google this poem because it is so good, so interesting, and it basically leaves you in a cliffhanger because it's like that. Yeah, it's interesting, man. Okay, contemporary times, 1940s onwards, during the Second World War and all that. We have 2 novels by authors Jack Williamson's, which is The Wolves of Darkness in 1932, and the novel Darker Than You Think in 1940. I'm doing a lot of faces. James Blish's There Shall Be No Darkness, which is a novel in 1950. Now we see that the predominant appearance of the werewolf in our literature is more wanting to retell a story about the dark, and we see how the werewolf and darkness are related in this metaphor, right? And listen to this. This is where it gets gets fun. Science fiction writers created logical rules to all supernatural beings, including the wolf and the vampire. They want to stray away from religious terminology and apply scientific terms for the werewolf. Now we have a scientific explanation of why the werewolf came to be in the 1950s with the science fiction writers. Thank God for them. And we have a female writer, awesome, female author, Whitley Strieber, which writes The Wolfen in 1978, that presents an ancient wolf-like spirits. Yes, again, the spirits that have been on Earth longer than humans and prey of the unwanted of society. We need some of those in our society, right? I mean, Wolfen, come here. It this person that is not doing anything useful for society. They can like overcome. Oh my God. Let me check the chat again. Let me see. No, not at all. Okay. I hope you're getting ideas for the stories, because I'm gonna write a story about a werewolf or a poem, but I want to do a story. Whitley Strieber's after the Wolfen, which is the Asian-like spirits, wolf-like spirits, writes another novel called The Wild in 1991, where the werewolf is a medium to bring human intelligence and spirit back into nature. And the main character is revived through good feelings of love. And this is where she uses the paranormal romance genre that we have in our day today. Like everything is paranormal romance, but we'll get to that. Of course, J.K. Rowling in her Harry Potter series uses a character that we all know, Remus Lupin. Sorry, Harry Potter fans, I don't know how to pronounce that. Who struggles with his curse and is terrified to infect someone with the curse of being a werewolf. And apparently J.K. Rowling uses the werewolf as a metaphor for marginalized groups who have been discriminated in our modern society. So basically, she's being cool. I mean, she's using the werewolf in now in a metaphorical manner. Again, like ancient writers and all that. I'm gonna close Facebook. Bye. Okay. And basically, it's so interesting how J.K. Rowling in this magical world introduces this mythological creature. Well, of course, it's magic, but it's an internal struggle for the werewolf that it's like, no, I don't want to infect you. But the full moon. You know, it's sad, man. It's sad. Okay, and now let's go to our modern times. Twilight. Twilight. I read all the books, so I know what I'm talking about. We have this, I forgot the name of the werewolf, but they have a clan, and the second book, New Moon, is all about them, which I hated. And the werewolf is seen as part of the paranormal romance genre, and this imprinting stuff, and they're, you know, shape-shifting, a normal lycanthrope, basically, with super human powers, overhuman powers, and they can shapeshift, like I said. I mean, it's so sad, you know, basically, like how they represent the werewolf of in Twilight, the Twilight series. But it's cool yet because it has some of the classic werewolf that we talked about. That is like the creature with the wolf-like characteristics, with no trace of being a human, only with the feelings and the sentiments. It's you know, I take that back. It's cool sometimes, just sometimes, yeah. Okay, basically that is all I have to say about werewolves in literature and what I found, of course, in our modern times, and about werewolf fiction. There is fan fiction, there is all about anything about werewolf literature. But now I will talk about, is it Okay, okay. They're not werewolves. They are shapeshifters. Jesus. Dark Angelo XX. Is that Christian? Hi, Christian. Okay, who do I have here? Lily Beth, Christian, and Juan. Okay, nice. Oh my God, my voice sounds horrible. I just heard it. Okay, there is a a work in the table for critiquing. Sadly, I think I forgot to upload it on the blog. But if you can go to the group on Facebook, you can see that our friend Luis Fuentes has posted the introduction of a ghost story called Flash. Now, it's in the the group. If you can look for it, I'm just gonna talk about it, and I'm sorry that I did not put it on the Medium blog. Do not kill me. I am almost a werewolf. I can destroy you and drink your blood, my friends. Okay. Mm, let me just Let me before I no. Oh my God, it's not Christian. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Whoever you are, I'm still getting to know you all. Okay. The introduction is called Flash. For now, the ghost story, and it reads as such: Snow white dots of water covered in coldness, reasons for many deaths, even mine. I was traveling to my hometown in my Suzuki Aereo 2006 when the road got slippery. I saw a man, or so I thought, standing in the road or levitating. I don't remember much. He had a type of weird glow, kind of blue around him, white and blue hair, and had a very creepy grin. The road was empty. I was driving near a mountain edge, and there was snow and ice everywhere. I couldn't see anything. Then I heard that noise like the tires screech in mid of a little spin that the car suggested. Gravity threw me away from the vehicle into what I thought was my demise for now. Before the accident, I was a normal guy. I attended the college every day, studying to be a teacher one day and maybe marrying the girl of my dreams, Cindy Johnson. No one liked her because she is a goth. I did though. It was all great at those times, even at home. I'm gonna stop in each paragraph. You already gave out the creepiness of what's gonna happen. You kill the main character, the first person main character, which is called, it says here, where is it? Paul. Paul is dead, main reason for the death. That is good. But I have so many problems with the way the syntax and the words are being used and how the grammatical errors seem to disrupt the image and the flow of the sentences. We're gonna learn all this in advanced composition next year, my friends. Let's take the first and the second sentence. Snow white dots of water covered in coldness, reasons for many deaths, even mine. You have two phrases. Maybe you can merge them, like snow white dots of water covered in coldness, semicolon, reasons for many deaths, even mine. You use a lot of comma splicing. You want to unite two sentences by using a comma when they should be separated. For example, I saw a man, or so I thought, standing in the road or levitating. I don't remember much. There, you need to separate the sentence, not with a comma, but with a period, like, or levitating, period. I don't remember much. Or semicolon. I love to use semicolons. Let me check if you're here. Paul is dead. Okay. You're cool. You're here. There are a lot of moments that I get like turned off because it can be creepier. I mean, it can be creepier, and that's what we want. This sentence: the road was empty. I was driving near a mountain edge, and there was snow and ice everywhere. You can say the road was empty, period. I was driving near a mountain. You need to know how to use your periods and not use commas to unite all this image, all these sentences into one, because it's not gonna make a coherent message. For example, the girl of my dreams, Cindy Johnson. No one like her because she is a goth. I did though. Period. You need that period after Cindy Johnson, because that sentence is just running, a run-on sentence, just going on, and it does not feel coherent. Let me continue because time is knock knock knocking on my door. I can't sing. Okay, my house wasn't family friendly at some times. My dad worked at a factory, minimum wage, little tempered, hated me for everything. Damn. Mom was a waitress at a local diner in which a lot of truckers molested her for years. Dad didn't know he would burst in anger, and Mom didn't want that. My sister Jessica Jackson was a normal science geek, too busy to care for her younger brother or anyone in that case. Then there was me, Paul Jackson, typical son which played video games and did nothing. I had a thing for writing until my dad told me that wasn't productive. It is productive! Jesus. The violent way. Mom always liked my writings, my sister too. Dad hated everything I ever did. That gave me a reason to hate my father more than anything, even if my mother and sister were sad because of that. The second sentence, again, run-on sentences, comma splicing. My sister Jessica Jackson was a normal science geek, comma splice. Too busy to care for her younger brother or anyone in that case. You can use two, like, the two dots. Oh my god, I forgot the name of that. Okay, you get, or semicolons, semicolons. But you need to know when to stop a sentence, and if you need to know how to make that sentence work, because a paragraph can have a lot of sentences, and it doesn't matter because it's how you say it that matters. And basically, you're narrating, introducing the people to the Jackson family. Not the Michael Jackson family, no. Rest in peace, Michael Jackson. Okay, I'll continue. Even though I had all of this negative aura at home, I managed to survive. At 18 years old, I moved out with Cindy into an apartment in which we both pay. Mom managed to get her a job at the diner. I knew that wasn't a good idea because of the bikers. I'll stop there. First it was the truckers, and now they're bikers. You need to decide whether you want them to be truckers or bikers, Consistency, my friend, Luis. Consistency. I ignored it until I saw her coming home crying and scared. Her makeup was dripping around her terrified blue eyes, looking for consolation in me. I had no choice but tell Dad about the bikers. I think you like the bikers better than the truckers. It was the first time we both agreed on something. We kicked biker ass that day. After that, she worked every day and nothing else happened. I started looking for a job too, and I was lucky that they needed a photographer at the paper industry. Newspaper industry? Maybe. Too bad that it was at the Ghost Inquiry. That's where the whole ghost hunter thing started. They said I had to start hunting ghosts. I agreed. It was $20 the hour. For all I knew, they were cahoots. If it pays, man. I said, man. That was the last moments I remembered of my life, right before I hit the abyss. So this is why they call Flash Before Your Eyes. This is such a good introduction, man. This is gonna be a good story, a very, very good story. And let's talk about that last paragraph of the introduction. We both paid, or we both split it prices or fees or monthly fees, something like that. Poor Cindy got a job at the diner where the bikers were touching her butt. Poor Cindy. And let's see, the rest is good. I like the rest. It flows. I like the last paragraph better than the last two because it flows. You knew where to put the periods. There is no comma splicing. We kicked biker ass that day. Who doesn't love that? I did find it that the third paragraph was the most interesting paragraph because it captures you. ghost inquiry, ghost hunting, and that was a good foreshadowing at the beginning with his death and the creepy white blue haired man that was or levitating or um was levitating or standing on the road. He didn't know. And that is good. That is a good story. I would have liked that to have been in all of the previous paragraph because you need to capture our attention, Luis, with, and better with an introduction, which is wow. You need to introduce that story so good. Just I a little less. It sounds better than the truckers. Okay, Dark Angelots. I. Well, it's a first-person short story. Can you please like give me an idea of how he can substitute that? Because I get what you mean. That's why I don't like writing first-person short story because the I takes me off sometimes. But I like it here because it's a first-person short story. But I'll wait for that suggestion, of course. By the way, do you like the this? Mm. Jesus. Okay. I am really waiting for that ghost story to happen. And you have now ideas because there are a lot of ghosts in werewolves, so haha, maybe. The last sentences, those that was the last moment, no moments, because if it's plural, you need to say those were the last moments I remember of my life, right before I hit the abyss. So this is why they call a flash before your eyes. That is so good. That last sentence, it just like leaves you in the boom. Come on, Luis. And to summarize my critiquing, watch out for the periods. Please do not be afraid of using lots of sentences in one paragraph. You need to organize the ideas because they are partially organized, but you are going to tell a ghost story here. And of course, it's an introduction. We need to know about the background of this of Paul Jackson in this case. Um, Watch out for grammar, please. Like every day in the first paragraph, I attended the college every day. I attended college every day. Every day. It's separated. Um, yeah, and that's all I gotta say. It is very good. It is very good. It's going in a very good way. Don't be afraid to use adjectives. Don't be afraid to describe around. And remember, like Lilybeth said to the Black Souls, the prologue about Isander's story. It's not. It is how you say it. Like you need to tell them in some way that they can like imagine it, but don't be so brazen. Like say it there. Like blah. No. Be suggestive. Be fun because that's all about literature. To being fun in a fun way to say it. Okay. Dark Angelox. Stop using commas. Thank you. Yeah. Stop using commas. Okay, yeah. Werewolf War. Red, I like that. You know, that's awesome. Okay, so I have 3 minutes here. And basically, let me tell you what's going to happen now. For next week, on Thursday, January 26th of 2014, we're going to have the presentation of our original works about vampires or werewolves. I want you, as a peer mentor, to write the most consistent and original works. You can do it because you have the previous videos about vampires and you have my video about werewolves throughout literature. You can either choose to write about vampires or werewolves or both. in any way you want. Poems, essays, short stories, anything you want, even a mini play. But remember, please do remember this, that this is going to be part of our live stream for next week, and we're going to critique live. And we wish that you could have those stories for Wednesday, June 25th, uploaded on the group. And I'm going to write this, of course. Uploaded on the group so we can read them and everyone can have a little bit of critiquing. So you, of course, the members of the UPRH Creative Writing Workshop, can critique as well for our enrichment of creative writing. And basically, I just want to see what you got. Be creative, man. You know about vampires and you know about werewolves. And I put it in the crotch, the links for the short stories. And please, please, my friends, do share the pages, the Twitter, the Facebook, the Medium blog, the channel, the YouTube channel, so we can create a community, so we can be more viewers next time. And well, I guess that is it for my werewolves. Ooh. Let me see if you have written something. No, you have not. Okay. Let me read the newest comment. Werewolf, no. Okay. Well, I don't know how this ends. So should I just stop broadcasting? Well, if I stop broadcasting, does it stop everything? Anyways, I'll just figure that out later. Remember, hashtag Team Werewolf for those who are gonna write about werewolves like me. You have a lot of things that you can write about, like literally anything. And hashtag Team Vampire. Let's do that. We're gonna do that. Next week is presentation week for our last virtual workshop of June. Then in July we're gonna talk about, I have no idea. So, oh my God, we're gonna be ready. Did you like this? Okay. Well, this is it for me. Let me just get here to Lilibet. Okay. Oh, here it is. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna try something here to add somebody to my broadcast video, and Lilibeth, of course. And now I'm gonna check it. Be right back. You can like stop watching the video right now. I'm just gonna be testing out something here. Thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you for watching. This was Miguel de Jesus, student of the English department at University of Puerto Rico in Humacao, aspiring writer and professor. And well, thank you so much for watching and for supporting our group. Thank you, fellow writers and members of the UPRH Creative Writing Workshop that have been consistent and have seen the videos from week 1. Thank you so much. I know I can count on you for next semester. Thank you so much. Bye.